Join Kids Hut family. That is not nice, Tofu. What if your friends find out? They will stop talking to you, won't they?
Oh no! I am so clever, they won't find out ever.
Let me tell you the story of another clever boy called Tom Sawyer. Tom Sawyer lived with his Aunt Polly and half-brother Sid. He was an extremely clever boy who loved mischief. But Tom also had a very good luck, which always helped him get away with the mischief he did. One day, his Aunt Polly was looking for him. "Tom, Tom, where are you?" She looked everywhere. She looked outside in the yard. Inside in the house and the kitchen. She looked in her room too, but he was nowhere. She went back to his room and called to him. "Tom, stop hiding and come out now." But there was no answer. Suddenly, Aunt Polly saw something move under Tom's bed. She thought it was Tom. She bent down and swiftly pulled the bed cover. A cat that Tom had hidden there sprung out at Aunt Polly. Surprised looking at this, she shouted, "Oh dear! Where did Tom get the cat? Wait till I find that boy!" Just as Aunt Polly was shooing the cat out of the window, she felt someone behind her. It was Tom trying to escape from the room. He had been hiding in the cupboard. Aunt Polly caught him by the collar. "Tom, what were you doing hiding in the cupboard? You ate all the jam, didn't you?"
No, Aunt Polly. I haven't even touched the jam. It must have been Sid.
"Don't you lie to me, young man. I can see the jam all over your face." Tom quickly tried to wipe his face, but it was too late. "Today I am going to beat you with a stick. You have become too mischievous."
Aunt Polly, look behind you.
Aunt Polly turned to see, but there was no one. It was just one of Tom's tricks. And this time he used it to get away from Aunt Polly, because when she turned around again, he wasn't there. "Oh, this boy! One of these days I am going to punish him." Tom was so happy with himself for fooling Aunt Polly again that he decided to take the day off from school. Instead, he went to the river and bathed in it. At lunchtime, he went into a nearby farm, stole fruits from there, and ran out of there with the owner chasing behind him. Just as he was running, he bumped into Sid. Sid saw Tom's wet hair and clothes and the fruits in his hands and understood that Tom hadn't gone to school, but he didn't say anything. When Tom reached home, Aunt Polly was waiting for him and she was angry. Tom understood that Sid had told her everything. "Tom, did you skip school again?"
No, Aunt Polly. Sid is lying.
"How did you know Sid said anything to me?" Well, for once Tom had got himself into trouble. He had no answer for Aunt Polly's question. "Tomorrow is Saturday. You don't have school. You will not go anywhere. Instead, you will whitewash the fence."
The entire fence?
"Yes, the entire fence. That is your punishment." Tom had no choice. He couldn't argue with Aunt Polly. He didn't want to make her angrier, but he was angry too. The fence would take up his whole Saturday. He went into the yard and kicked at the dust. Just then, he saw Sid coming in. He quickly made a mud ball and swung it at him.
Stop! Help, Aunt Polly! Why did you have to tell anything to Aunt Polly?
Tom flung a few more mud balls at Sid and then jumped over the fence and ran away. He knew he was already punished, so nothing worse could happen now. Next morning, when Tom came down for breakfast, he was greeted with a pail of paint and paintbrushes. Aunt Polly had been serious about his punishment. So Tom ate his breakfast and went into the yard to whitewash the fence. Painstakingly, he finished a bit of it. That's when his friend Joe came up to him.
Hey, Tom. Why are you working on a Saturday morning? Working? Who said anything about working? Well, why are you painting the fence then? I am doing it because it is art. Haven't you heard of art, Joe? Well, I have, but I have never done it. Is it fun? Oh, yes, it is. Why else would I do it?
Joe thought about it. It was true. Tom Sawyer would never do anything that wasn't fun. He asked Tom if he could also try it. Tom agreed to let Joe do only a small portion of it in exchange of 3 marbles. Joe thought 3 marbles was too much, but agreed. He wanted to try art. A little while later, their friend Jim came. He saw Tom resting under the tree and Joe painting the fence. He went to Joe.
What are you doing, Joe?
It is art. I paid Tom 3 marbles to let me do it.
3 marbles?
Is it that good? Yes, very good. Jim dashed to Tom immediately and asked if in exchange of his fish book, he too could whitewash the fence. Tom feigned some reluctance, but agreed. And so it went on. Other friends of Tom came and believed that painting the fence was fun. They paid Tom in collector's cards, candies, and even a catapult to get a chance to paint the fence. By noon, the entire fence was painted and Tom was a rich boy. He hid his treasures and went to his aunt.
It's done. What? Unbelievable. Let me see.
Aunt Polly took Tom with her to see the fence. Indeed, it was done. And it was done very nicely. How did he do it? Anyway, his punishment is over. Now I will have to let him go. I hope he does not create more mischief. But as always, when Aunt Polly turned around to tell Tom that his punishment was over, he was already gone. The next day was Sunday, and Tom went to Sunday school. When he reached there, he saw a new girl and was smitten by her. He desperately wanted to impress her. He thought of a way he could prove himself better than the other boys. He went to one of the smartest boys in the class. And bought from him all his yellow tickets in exchange of the treasure he had earned from his friends yesterday. The yellow tickets were awarded only to those boys who had learned all the verses of the Bible. Usually, only older boys were able to get the yellow tickets. When you had enough yellow tickets, you could exchange them for a Bible. The minister asked the class,
"Does anyone have enough yellow tickets for a Bible?"
Nobody had so many tickets, except Tom, who raised his hand. Everybody, including the minister, was surprised. Tom was the most naughty boy they knew. How could he have learned all the verses of the Bible? The minister understood this was one of Tom's tricks, and he decided to test him.
"Very well done, Tom. Please come here and collect your Bible."
Also, as is tradition, when you earn your Bible, you get to recite any 3 of your favorite verses from it. Tom was stumped. 3 verses? He didn't even know one. He fumbled. The whole class laughed at him as they understood that mischievous Tom had got into a big soup this time. Do you still think you will never get caught?
Oh no, Tia. I have to go and tell my friends the truth and apologize to them right away.
Our gardener is so rude. I am never going to talk to him again.
Maybe you should try to be nicer to him, Tofu. Perhaps he has no friends and feels lonely.
Yes, he doesn't talk to anyone. Hence, he has no friends. Why would anyone talk to someone who doesn't talk to them?
That's not what Heidi did.
Who is Heidi? Heidi. There lived a little girl called Heidi. She lived with her aunt in the village. Once it happened that Heidi's aunt had to go to the big city for work. She would be gone for a long time. So she decided to leave Heidi with her grandfather, who lived alone on the mountain. Heidi's grandfather, a carpenter named wasn't a friendly person because of some experience in his past. He didn't like to talk to anyone, and that is why he lived all the way up in the mountains. And now Heidi had to live with him.
Bye-bye, Heidi. Be a good girl.
Bye, Auntie. Hello. My name is Heidi.
Heidi waited a while, hoping that her grandfather would talk to her. When she realized he wasn't going to, she decided not to disturb him, and instead she went out to see the mountainside. She had never seen such vast lands of green. She fell in love with her new home immediately. She lay down next to a bed of daffodils under the open sky and smiled to herself. That's when she heard the goats with bells around their neck.
Oh, hello. Where did you come from?
I brought them here to feed, like I do every day. Where did you come from?
Hello, my name is Heidi. I have come here to stay with my grandfather.
Hello, Heidi. My name is Peter. Old Grandpa is your grandfather? He often helps us with furniture and maintaining the barn. In turn, my grandmother bakes bread for him.
You live here with your grandma, is it? Can I meet her?
Yes, come with me. And so Heidi went with her new friend to his house to meet his grandmother. Peter's grandmother was very loving, and although she was blind, she loved to talk and cook. She was very happy when Peter told her about Heidi. "Oh, that's wonderful. Come here, dear Heidi, and give me a hug." Are you hungry? Well, come, I will make you some special soup. Heidi spent the rest of the day at Peter's house and learned how to make special soup from his grandmother. Heidi asked her if, like Peter, she too could call her Granny, and she was delighted when she agreed. When it was evening, she said goodbye to them and went back to her grandfather's house. When she reached there, he was still working in his workshop. So Heidi went into the house. Sometime later, Heidi called out to him, "Dinner time, grandfather! Come, let's eat together." Old Arm looked up in surprise. No one had made dinner for him in decades. He closed his workshop for the day, washed up, and went to eat. Heidi had made the lovely soup she had learnt from Granny. They ate in silence. And although her grandfather liked the soup very much, he didn't say anything. When dinner was done and the kitchen had been cleaned up, they both went out in the yard and sat under the stars quietly. After some time, Heidi started feeling sleepy, and so she kissed Arm goodnight and went to sleep. Arm had not experienced so much love in many years, and so he sat there with tears in his eyes for a long time. Next morning, by the time Heidi got up, her grandfather was already in his workshop. She decided to go and be with him. Good morning, grandfather. Heidi knew she wouldn't get an answer, so she decided to make herself busy. She swept the workshop, filled fresh water in Arm's jar, and to surprise kissed him and went out to feed the hen. When it was about afternoon, she served a lunch of mashed potatoes which she had learnt to make from her aunt. Later, she went to Peter's house to spend time with Granny and returned in the evening to serve dinner. This went on for many days. Every morning and night, she would kiss her grandfather on the cheek and wish him. She would clean his workshop and fill fresh water in his jar. All this love and care that Heidi gave him changed Arm's behavior. He loved having Heidi around and enjoyed it very much when Peter and Granny came by to visit her. One day, upon Heidi's insistence, he even took her to the village. They bought a pair of shoes for Heidi. On the way back, they bought candy floss. Throughout the trip, Arm laughed and played with Heidi. All the villagers were surprised to see this change in the old carpenter. 2 years went by, and Heidi and Arm were very happy in each other's company. Till one day, Heidi's aunt returned. She wanted to take Heidi with her to the big city. The man whose office she worked in had a daughter, Clara, who couldn't walk. Clara always needed a wheelchair to go anywhere. Hence, she had no friends. Clara's father wanted Heidi to be Clara's friend. Grandfather, tell her, I do not wish to go. I want to live here with you. But Arm didn't say anything. He knew that Heidi would have a much better life in the big city. And so Heidi left her grandfather, Peter, Granny, and the mountainside to live in the big city. She was straight away taken to the mansion where Clara lived. There she met Clara's father. He was a very kind and loving gentleman who loved Clara very much, but often had to travel a lot for business. During these times, he left Clara in the care of her grandmother and a rather stern housekeeper.
Hello, Heidi. I am Clara's father. I wanted to thank you for coming here. I am sure you will like living here with Clara. If you ever need anything, please let me know. Now come, I will take you to Clara's room.
When they entered Clara's room, Heidi saw a beautiful girl, maybe 2 years elder to Heidi, sitting on a wheelchair. She was very pretty, but she was frail and seemed sad. The housekeeper pushed the wheelchair forward towards Heidi.
Clara, this is Heidi. She will live with us now. I will see you both in the evening now. Bye-bye.
Saying so, he and Heidi's aunt left to attend their business. For a while, Heidi didn't know what to say to Clara.
My friend Peter has many goats. Sometimes I can't make out whether he controls the goats or they control him.
Hearing this, Clara also broke into giggles, and Heidi immediately knew that they were going to be very good friends. She started spending her whole day with Clara. She would tell her many tales of the mountains, while Clara would tell her about the different cities she had stayed in after her mother had passed away. While the housekeeper was very stern and always stopped the girls from enjoying themselves too much, Clara's grandmother was very nice. She even taught Heidi how to read. Everybody who met Clara now noted how happy she looked. One day, the girls went out to the market. As Heidi pushed the wheelchair forward, she saw a vendor selling daffodils. She was immediately reminded of home, her grandfather, Peter, and Granny. When they came back from the market, Clara asked Heidi,
Wasn't today fun, Heidi? What do you think of my new bracelet? Yeah, it's lovely.
And so it went from that day. Heidi didn't want to play or sing with Clara, and she wouldn't read with Clara's grandmother. She wouldn't even eat unless was forced to. She would just keep doing her work quietly. She missed her home terribly, and her heart broke every time she looked out of the window and saw buildings and towers instead of mountains and sky. This went on till one day she felt terribly ill. Clara's father called the doctor right away.
Well, I am afraid she is homesick. She misses home. No medicine or treatment can make her better unless she goes back. I will immediately make arrangements to send her home. True to his word, Clara's father made sure that Heidi was back in the mountain at her grandfather's house in 2 days. Just the news of going back home had made Heidi feel better. And when she reached her grandfather's home, she ran to him and hugged him. Even Am was very happy to have Heidi back. I am never going away, Grandfather. You don't have to.
Grandfather, this is Clara. She is my friend from the city. She has come to stay with us for a few days. And that is Clara's father.
As the two men shook hands, Peter came over. The children were very excited to see each other.
You must be Peter. Heidi has told me all about you. You must take me to your granny.
Yes, yes. Come, I will push your chair. Granny would love to meet you. After some time, Clara's father said goodbye to everyone. He would come back in few weeks to take Clara back to the city. The children waved him goodbye. In the next few days, the children had a lot of fun. Peter and Heidi would take Clara along with them everywhere. Peter would pluck fresh fruits for them. And they even showed her how to milk a cow. With the good food, air, environment of the mountainside, Clara grew stronger. So much that she even learned to walk by herself. Soon it was time for Clara's father to come and take her away. When he came, she surprised him by walking up to his carriage. Oh, my darling, I am so happy. As they left, everybody was happy. There was no sadness in anyone's heart.
Bye-bye. I will visit you soon. I will too. Goodbye. Take care.
So you see, Tofu, when you are kind and loving towards someone, you can change their whole life.
Yes, Tia. Thank you for teaching me this valuable lesson. Perhaps I will take some chocolates for the gardener. Tia, you recite so many stories to me that are full of morals, but you have never recited your favorite story to me. Which one is it?
Tofu, that's true. I haven't yet recited my favorite story to you. Would you want to listen to one of my favorite stories?
Yeah.
Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time, there lived a widow with her only son, named Jack. Their times were really hard, and they were living in poverty for long. Jack was too young to work and earn money. All their house furniture and other belongings were sold off to carry on with their basic daily needs. Until at last they were left with a cow, who used to give milk every day, and that they used to sell off in the market to buy bread. One day, the poor old cow didn't give any milk. That's when Jack suggested his mother.
I think we should sell off this cow and get a good return in bargain.
So Jack left to sell off the cow in the market. On the way, he met a butcher.
Oh, where are you going, Jack?
I'm going to the market to sell off this cow for a good bargain.
Oh, why take the trouble to go that far? I have a very good deal for you.
He took out 5 strange-looking beans from his pocket and handed them to Jack. Jack looked little hazed as to what kind of good bargain it is.
Oh my God! They are so beautiful. What do you call these?
Beans, magical beans. If you plant them overnight, by the next morning, they will grow up and reach the sky.
Wow! Mother would be so happy to see them. Thank you, Mr. Butcher.
And off went Jack happily to his mother and showed her the magical beans. But to his disappointment, she only got angry at him and shouted.
Off you go to bed right away.
She threw the beans outside the kitchen window and into the backyard and went off to her bed, crying and weeping. The next morning, when Jack woke up, he saw outside his window, and to his surprise, he saw a great beanstalk reaching up to the sky.
Oh my God! This beanstalk is so huge! I need to climb this up to see where it leads to.
He climbed up and up and up till his home looked a mere spot on the ground. At last, the stalk ended and Jack found himself in a completely different place. But suddenly, a beautiful lady appeared and said,
Hello, Jack. You don't know me, but I know you and everything about you. The castle you see there belongs to a giant who stole all your father's money and killed him. Your mother had kept this secret from you to protect you. He owes you, Jack.
The lady disappeared in thin air. Jack kept standing there and thinking.
He surely owes me and my family.
Far away, where the road ended, he could see a huge castle. He went up to the castle and knocked on the huge door. A giant woman opened the door. She looked scary and howled at Jack. "What do you want?"
If you please, ma'am, would you kindly give me some breakfast? I haven't eaten anything since yesterday.
The giant woman, though looked cruel and ugly, had a kind heart and offered Jack a huge plate of English breakfast, but warned him. "You must finish quickly before my giant husband comes back and eats you." Then suddenly there was a huge knock on the door, and the wife picked up Jack and hid him in a huge empty kettle. As the door opened, the giant entered and roared.
"Fee, fee, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread."
"Nonsense! You're mistaken. It's the ox hide you smell." So he sat down at the table and ate the ox that his wife had served him as breakfast. After he finished, he asked his wife,
"Get me my money bags."
He started counting his money, but he was so sleepy that he slept on the table. The whole room was roaring with his snore. Jack, taking an opportunity of this time, got out of the kettle, picked up the money bags and ran towards the door. Before the giant woke up, he climbed down the beanstalk and to his cottage and did not look back even once. He took a sigh of relief and ran to his mother.
Mother, look what I got. We are rich now.
The mother and the son lived quite comfortably. Till one afternoon, when his mother was away, he decided to go up to the giant's castle and see what was happening there. So he climbed up the beanstalk and reached the castle. There, standing at the door, he saw the giant's wife again. But she didn't recognize him because he was dressed impeccably this time.
If you please, ma'am,
He said,
will you give me some breakfast?
Run away, you little boy. Last time a boy came, he stole my husband's money bags.
But since she was kind-hearted, she offered Jack breakfast. At that very moment, the giant knocked on the door and quickly she hid Jack in the oven. The giant entered and roared.
Fee, fee, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread.
But the giant's wife once again assured him that he is mistaken and offered him his huge breakfast to eat. After eating his food, he asked his wife,
Get me my golden hen.
The wife got the hen and the giant roared in his voice.
Lay!
That very moment, the hen laid a golden egg, and Jack was left amazed with what he saw. No sooner he saw the giant slipping into his deep sleep, and once again he came out of the oven, picked up the hen, and ran for the door. In the meanwhile, the hen began to cackle. The voice made the giant move a little, but he kept sleeping. Jack climbed down the stalk and went straight to his mother and gave her the golden hen. The mother and the boy were so rich that they had money greater than even what they could spend. One day, he was sitting idle. The thought of the beanstalk crossed his mind again, and he decided to climb it. No sooner he was at the castle, but this time he decided not to be seen and climbed the kitchen wall of the castle and hid himself in the oven. In came the giant, roaring louder than ever.
Fee, fee, fo, fum. I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread.
But the giantess was quite sure that she had seen no little boy that morning, and after grumbling a great deal, the giant sat down for breakfast. As soon as he got over with his breakfast, he called out to his wife,
Bring me my harp. Sing!
ordered the giant. Soon the harp started singing the most beautiful sounds ever heard, and no sooner the giant fell off into his deep sleep. Jack, who was waiting for this moment, got out of the oven and climbed the table to grab the harp. But as soon as he started running off with it, the harp started shouting,
Master! Master!
The giant woke up just in time to catch the sight of Jack running out of the kitchen door. With a fearful roar, he saw Jack running with the harp and dashed after him. Little Jack ran as fast as he could, while holding the harp tightly in his hands. The giant, taking terribly long strides, gained on Jack, and he would have been caught if Giant had not slipped over a boulder. Before he could pick himself up, Jack began to climb down the beanstalk, and when the giant arrived at the edge, he was nearly halfway to the cottage. The giant began to climb down too, but as soon as Jack saw him coming, he called out,
Mother, bring an axe.
The widow hurried out with the chopper. Jack had no sooner reached the ground than he cut the beanstalk right in two. Down came the giant with a terrible crash, and that, you may be sure, was the end of him. But the mother had a very important advice for Jack.
Jack, what the giant did to your father was bad. But you should not have been so greedy. He reaped what he sowed, but greed is also a bad deed.
Jack agreed to his mother and promised to never be greedy again, and they lived happily ever after.
Wow, Tia, that was such an adventurous story.
Yeah, Tofu, and do you know why it was my favorite story?
No? Tell me.
The story was about a brave boy who wanted to fight against poverty, and in a way, he got a chance to take revenge of his father too. But in the process, he forgot that harming the giant again and again was not ethical, and stealing from the giant's house was also against his morals.
Oh, that's quite a heavy thought for my little brain.
Ha ha ha! Let's go. We are late for dinner. Mom must be waiting.
Tia and Tofu are going on a school trip while traveling in the bus.
I am so excited, Tia. This is my first school camp. It'll be so much fun.
Tofu, I know you are excited, but you should remember what parents told us. We have to be safe and careful throughout.
Tia, I am a big boy, and this is my first adventure. I'll be cautious throughout, I promise. I am so happy we are going together. La 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 la.
It's a camp, Tofu, so I don't want you wandering around alone at all. We'll have lots of fun, but we'll stick together and be like a team. Like Batman and Robin, like Hansel and Gretel.
Hansel and Gretel? I haven't seen that movie.
It's not a movie, little one. It's a story of two siblings, just like us. I think this is the best time for me to tell you this story. So, sit tight. Hansel and Gretel. Once, a poor woodcutter had a son and a daughter named Hansel and Gretel. One day, they get an evil stepmother. One night, the stepmother tells the woodcutter,
The kids eat too much. We'll be starving soon. So let's leave the children in the forest and get rid of them.
"What are you saying? No!" But the wife was very persistent, and she kept talking until he was convinced. Hansel overhears their conversation. So that night, Hansel goes out and collects shiny white stones.
We'll find our way back home. Stop crying, Gretel. Hansel, tomorrow we are going to die. What do we do? Don't worry, we will survive. Good night, Gretel.
Hansel hides the stones and sleeps. The next morning, the stepmother takes the kids to the forest. Hansel keeps dropping stones on the ground, thinking, we can follow these stones home.
Children, wait by this big tree. Just sit quietly here and I'll be back to get you.
But she never comes back to get them.
Let's wait for nightfall, Gretel. I dropped a trail of white stones all the way here. So, with the moonlight shining on them, we could get back home. I am so scared.
So at night, Hansel and Gretel follow the shiny stones out of the forest. The stepmother was secretly angry. A few days later, the stepmother again tricks the children.
Let's go have a picnic in the forest. Here, take this bread to eat later. We'll go in the morning.
This time, the stepmother locked their room at night, and so Hansel couldn't pick up any shiny stones. Next morning, on their way to the forest, Hansel crumbled his bread and left a trail of crumbs instead. Deep in the forest.
This looks like a good spot. You both can take a nap here while I go and cut some wood.
Hansel and Gretel knew she wouldn't come back again. They slept. And waited for nightfall again. When they woke up, the birds and wild animals had eaten up all the crumbs.
Now we will never find our way home. I am so upset for us, Gretel. Hansel, don't lose hope. Let's walk and maybe we find our home.
After walking the entire day, they find a small house.
Look there! A cookie house! Wow! Oh, the house is made of chocolate with a roof of cake and sugar windows. Come, come!
The hungry children didn't even stop to think.
I want a big piece of the cake roof. Yum!
Suddenly, they hear a voice.
Children, come inside. You seem hungry. I'll make you yummy food right now.
The lady was an evil witch. The kids go in the house with her.
It's a trap. I like to eat kids. I made this house to lure you in. Now I'll fatten the boy up and make a tasty treat for myself.
Her eyes were red. She had terrible eyesight, but a good sense of smell. She locks Hansel in a cellar. She makes Gretel do all the housework, all the chores. Hansel and Gretel cried and begged, but she had no mercy on them.
Come on, girl. Cook something delicious for your brother. He should be fat enough to be cooked by the end of this month.
A week passed. Hansel ate delicious food, while Gretel was always hungry. Every morning, the old witch went to Hansel's cellar and shouted,
Show me your fingers, boy. Let me check how much fatter you've gotten.
But Hansel would always stick out a little bone for her to feel, because the witch couldn't see very well. She was furious that Hansel was staying so thin. One day, she lost her patience and shouted at Gretel,
I don't care anymore. I'll cook thin Hansel today and eat him anyhow. And start the oven.
Gretel had no choice, and she started doing what the evil witch told her.
Now get in and see if the water is boiling enough.
How can I get inside the oven? Please show me so that I can check the water.
Stupid girl. What is wrong with you? It's so easy. Look, you just need to step here and...
Gretel cleverly pushed the old woman in the oven and shut the door. The vicious witch burned to a crisp. Gretel rushed to the cellar and set Hansel free.
Hansel, my dear brother, the witch is dead. Now let's run out of here and find our home.
How happy they were! While running out of the house, they saw wooden chests all over in the witch's room. They were filled with gems and gold. The children filled their pockets with as many gems as possible and left the house. Hansel and Gretel walked for a few hours. When they got to a bridge that they knew well and was close to their house.
Look! Father! Father!
Hansel and Gretel could finally see their father at the porch, looking miserable because his wife had died.
My dearest children, I'm so happy you both are alive. I am sorry for letting you go.
The three hugged, and precious gems started to fall out of Gretel's pockets. Both the children emptied their pockets in their father's lap. They told their father about the evil witch and how they got her treasure.
Oh my God, I am happy my kids came back safe. I will never leave you alone now.
Finally, they could have a carefree life and lived together, happily ever after.
Ooh, witches are scary. We are about to reach the forest camp very soon. Don't leave my hand when we go hiking in the forest. I want us to be like Hansel and Gretel. I promise not to go anywhere alone. Does this forest have a cookie house or a witch, Tia?
Tofu, it's just a story. Hansel and Gretel shared an adventure like a team. Don't worry about any witch. It's just a camp. I hope we find a cookie house like Hansel and Gretel.
Cookie house, yum! That sounds wow! I am hungry now. Give me the chocolates from the bag, Tia, please.
Let's go home. Why are you wasting time? How come you always want to do something good for others?
Tofu, what goes around comes around. If you do good, good will come back to you. And if you do bad, bad will come back to you.
What do you mean?
Let me tell you the story of a little boy called Pinocchio. Pinocchio. Once there lived an old carpenter called Geppetto. He had no family and was quite lonely. Since he was quite poor, he would find leftover wooden logs and create something new out of them. One night, he found a large wooden log and took it home. Throughout the night, Geppetto worked on the log. carved a young boy out of it. By the time he was done with it, it was morning.
My, what a beautiful boy I have made. I wish he had a heart. Then he could be my son and I would call him Pinocchio.
A good fairy who knew that Geppetto was a very nice man overheard him, and suddenly the wooden boy spoke up.
Hello.
Geppetto was surprised but overjoyed. He hugged Pinocchio and told him that from that day he was Geppetto's son. Geppetto arranged for Pinocchio to go to school. To buy him his books, he sold off his dear chisel.
Now you can go to school like a real boy.
One morning, as Pinocchio was going to school, the evil puppet master stopped him. The puppet master wanted to own Pinocchio so he could use him to earn lots of money.
Hello, Pinocchio. Do you want to go to the Fun Island? It is a wonderful, magical place where you can become a real boy.
Pinocchio was overjoyed at the idea of going to Fun Island. He quickly started walking with the puppet master. The good fairy who had been watching over Pinocchio suddenly appeared. Seeing her, the evil puppet master ran away, leaving Pinocchio alone.
Where are you going, Pinocchio? To school, good fairy.
Just as Pinocchio said the lie, his wooden nose grew longer.
That isn't the way to the school, Pinocchio.
Afraid that he had been caught, the boy decided to lie again.
It is a new route.
With the second lie, Pinocchio's nose grew even longer. Now he was very sad and started crying.
I am sorry. I won't go to the Fun Island. I will go to school.
Seeing how sorry Pinocchio was, the good fairy did her magic and turned his nose into its normal size again. Pinocchio thanked her and dashed off to school. Once he reached school, he told all his friends about the Fun Island. All his friends decided to go and see this magical place. What they didn't know was that the magic in Fun Island was evil. It turned little boys into donkeys.
Oh no, we are in trouble. Everybody, run from here.
Just as the boys were figuring a way out of the island, Pinocchio saw Geppetto swimming towards the island. He had been looking out for Pinocchio all day. But to Pinocchio's horror, before Geppetto could reach him, a whale swallowed him up. To save his father, Pinocchio also jumped into the sea and went straight into the whale's stomach. There he saw Geppetto.
Pinocchio, my son.
Father, are you okay? How will we get out of here now?
Well, we must tickle the whale from inside till it throws us out.
And they started tickling the whale's stomach. Soon the whale sneezed and threw both of them out. Pinocchio helped his father and all his friends to get back to the village. The good fairy had been watching him all this time.
Pinocchio,
I have seen what a good boy you have been, jumping into the sea to save your father like that. Hence, I am giving you a heart and making you a real boy.
Pinocchio and Geppetto were overjoyed. They hugged each other and thanked the fairy as Pinocchio really turned into a real boy. Do you still think that doing good is a waste of time, Tofu?
Oh no, never, Tia. From now on, I will always do good to others. Yay! We won! But why does Ron keep passing the ball to others? He's the best player on the team. He could make more goals if he just takes the ball all the way by himself.
No, Tofu. To win, you always need a team. Every player is equally important on the team. Come, I will tell you a story about the importance of teamwork. Once upon a time, a girl called Dorothy lived in Kansas City. She was playing with her best friend, a dog named Toto, when a scary cyclone came their way. Dorothy called out to Toto,
Toto, hurry! We have to get to the basement.
but before they could reach the basement, the cyclone lifted their house up and blew it away. After some time, it fell somewhere with a thud. When Dorothy stepped out of the house, she saw the house had landed on someone.
Oh no! Toto, help me! Who is she? The house has landed on her. I'm so sorry.
Just then, Dorothy and Toto heard people behind them rejoicing. They were the Munchkins.
Thank you, thank you. You have just saved us from the evil witch of the East. You have saved us all.
Just then, another witch appeared. She was the Good Witch. Hello, Dorothy. You have done a great deed by saving all the Munchkins. Let me know if you need anything.
Thank you. Could you please tell me how to go back to Kansas City? That's where I used to live.
I can't do that, but I think the Wizard of Oz can help you with that. Just follow the yellow brick road. It will lead you straight to him. But before you go, take these red slippers that the evil witch of the East had. You might need them. Dorothy thanked the Good Witch, took the slippers, and made her way on the yellow brick road with Toto. She had only walked a bit when she came across a scarecrow.
Hello, I am the Scarecrow. I have everything I want except a brain. My head is only filled with hay.
Hello, Scarecrow. I am going to the Wizard of Oz. Why don't you come with me? He might be able to help you.
And so Dorothy was joined by the Scarecrow. They had walked a few miles when they met the Tin Woodcutter.
I want a heart. When my maker made me, he gave me everything, but forgot to give me a heart. I wish he hadn't forgotten that. We are going to the Wizard of Oz. We are going to ask him for a way for Dorothy to get back to her home and for brains for me. Why don't you come with us?
And so the Tin Woodcutter also joined them. They had walked for some time when they heard Toto barking. They turned around to see that a lion had attacked Toto.
Get away from my dog, you nasty lion!
The lion whimpered and ran away to a corner.
Oh no! You aren't a brave lion at all, are you?
No, I have no courage. I wish I had some. We are going to the Wizard of Oz. We will ask him for a brain for the Scarecrow, a way for Dorothy to get back home, and a heart for me. Come with us. We will ask him for courage for you.
The lion agreed, and they all continued on the yellow brick road. They kept following the road and reached the Emerald City. They knocked on its big gates. A guard appeared. The wizard doesn't meet anyone, but he has agreed to meet all of you. And so all the friends went to meet the wizard. They told him how and why they had come to meet him.
Thank you, Dorothy, for freeing the lands from the evil witch of the East. But I will grant all your wishes when you free us from the evil witch of the West too.
The friends agreed to the wizard's terms and left to find the evil witch of the West. But the evil witch of the West had heard about what had happened to the evil witch of the East. She also knew about Dorothy and her friends' plan to kill her. She planned an attack on them. She sent a pack of her scariest wolves to stop them. The Tin Woodcutter stepped forward.
This is a job for me. Everyone, stay back.
The woodcutter hacked at the wolves with his axe till they all ran away. The wolves had just left when the skies became dark, and many crows started coming down to peck at them all. This time, the Scarecrow stepped forward and scared all the crows away. Next, the evil witch sent flying monkeys. Before anyone could do anything, the monkeys grabbed them all and took them to the evil witch's castle. So, you've come to kill me, huh? How will you do that? The woodcutter is lying in a pile over the stones. I have emptied the scarecrow and strapped the cowardly lion to pull my carts.
Oh, you are so evil! What a horrible person you are!
Saying so, Dorothy grabbed the bucket of water that was lying there and threw the water at the witch.
Oh no! You threw water over me? I am going to shrink and melt! Help me! I'm melting! Oh my God! I'm melting! Help me!
And so the evil witch of the west melted away. As that happened, all her slaves became free. They repaired the woodcutter, filled the scarecrow with hay, and released the lion. Dorothy and her friends went back to the Emerald City. The Wizard of Oz welcomed them and granted the wishes of the Scarecrow, the Woodcutter, and the Lion.
What about my wish? How will I get back home?
You don't need me for that. You had the power all along. Just click your heels together thrice and tell the slippers where you want to go. They will take you there.
Though Dorothy was excited to go home, she was sad to leave her friends. She said a tearful goodbye to them. Then she picked up Toto in her arms and clicked her heels together 3 times and told her slippers to take her home. So you see, Tofu, if all the friends hadn't worked together, they would have not been able to defeat the evil witch of the West.
Yes, Tia. I now understand the importance of a team.
What happened? Why can't you sleep?
I don't know. Can you please put me off to sleep by telling me a story?
Sure, Tofu, I'll tell you one of my favorite stories. The Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood lived in a hut near a forest with her mother. She always wore a beautiful red hood while going out. One day, she went to see her grandmother. On her way, she met a wolf.
Hello, where are you going?
I am going to see my granny. She lives behind that hill.
The wolf got a wicked idea. The wolf ran to Granny's house and ate her up and got into Granny's bed. After some time, Little Red Riding Hood reached the house. She saw the wolf lying in her granny's bed.
Oh, Granny, What big eyes you have!
So that I can see you better.
Granny, what big ears you have!
So that I can hear you better.
Granny, what a big nose you have!
So that I can smell you better.
Oh, Granny, what big teeth you have!
So that I can eat you better. Ha 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 ha.
Oh my God! Help me! Help me!
Nearby, a woodcutter was in the forest and he heard the scream. He ran to the house just to see the wolf attacking the little girl. He hit the wolf over the head, and this made the wolf open his mouth and shout. The granny jumped out. The wolf ran away, and the little Red Riding Hood never saw the wolf again. So Tofu, Little Red Riding Hood, was able to save herself and her old grandmother too.
For your favorite rhymes, stories, and more, join Kids Hut family. Subscribe here.